This is the Ellensburg City Council meeting of Tuesday, January 18th. It is 7 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Elliott.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Take the roll, please.
Elliott,
Here.
Goodlow, here, Milquist,
Here.
Tab,
Here.
Wynn.
Here.
And Councilmember Miller had an excused. Is that right? Okay. There are no proclamations or awards, correct? So we're at approval of the agenda.
Madam Mayor, move approval of the agenda as, well, actually, I'd like to amend the agenda first. Take item 5E out of the consent agenda. Do I do that now?
5D, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So is there a second?
A second.
5D is acknowledging the designation of Kathleen Lenecki on the Public Transit Advisory Board.
No, I'll get the right agenda packet.
Oh, okay. Did I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. A motion and second to approve the agenda with the deletion of item 5D, or was the motion to amend the?
Now we can do it as to approve with the deletion.
The motion is to approve with the deletion of 5D. All in favor?
Aye.
Two will vote aye. That motion carries. Consent agenda.
Move amended consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and second for the consent agenda as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. That motion carries. Communications. We have President Wolpert here with us. If you would like to take the microphone.
Thank you,
Thank
Mayor
you for coming.
Milquist. Thank you for having me. Spend a little bit of time giving you some updates on what's happening at Central Washington University. As you all know, our relationship with Ellensburg and Kittitas County is essential to our functioning. So these are important relationships, and many of the things I'll talk about affect us as much as they affect you. And we appreciate the partnership and collaboration we have with the city and the county. Let me start with two major concerns that we've been thinking a lot about and working a lot about, as you all have as well. The first one is COVID-19. We spent a lot of time in the summer figuring out how we would reopen in the fall with face-to-face classes. About 60% of our classes did go face-to-face this past fall. We developed a committee that was very collaborative and inclusive and included faculty, staff, and students from across the university to really dig in and think about how we could do this safely and well. What we know is that our students greatly prefer to be in the classroom with our awesome faculty and working with our staff. This is the transformative experience that happens at Central Washington University. We also know that we've got to maintain everybody's health and safety. So we came up with mitigation measures that we thought would work. And upon reflection in the fall, at least they did work. We had 761 tests on our campus for possible symptomatic individuals. We only had 29 positive cases. So what we did in the fall worked extraordinarily well. We required vaccines. 93% of our employees were vaccinated. 91.5% of our students were vaccinated, and we required masks. We're now, of course, strongly encouraging boosters, not requiring them at this point. We have lots of testing clinics out there, and we are recommending KN95 or N95 masks to fight Omicron. At this point, we still feel like what we're doing is safe, and we have continued with face-to-face classes, although we're monitoring what's happening in terms of students missing classes. The faculty and staff have done an amazing job. I cannot say enough for their fortitude in all of this. Because of the pandemic and part of a national trend, our enrollment is down. It was 11,700 2 years ago. It is down to 10,200, 10,300 this fall. We will continue to see that decline. We let in smaller freshman classes the last 2 years, and that'll take a while to bubble out, but we will probably drop under 10,000 students. That has an impact not just on the university and on our tuition, but also obviously on the city of Ellensburg. So we're very cognizant of that relationship. Regaining our enrollment position will take time, and we have created a long-term strategy for rebuilding our enrollment at Central Washington University. It'll take time, but we will get there. So let me turn to some bright spots. And I know that these are things that have a strong impact on the city of Ellensburg. We have in the state of Washington very strong initiatives around capital development, building new facilities, and that brings in a lot of revenue to the city and to the county. So we are in the process of completing our health sciences facility. That was a $63 million 2-year facility. We were supposed to take ownership of that building in the end of the summer and run classes this fall, but because of supply chain issues, we haven't been able to receive all of the equipment, the furniture that is getting installed and will be done in February. We should run classes in the spring quarter in that facility. We have some of the only really unique programs in health sciences at Central Washington. Paramedicine is a great one, but we emphasize nutrition and dietetics, public health, and our physiology and exercise science majors are in that building. We are now shifting from completing that building to a renovation of the Nicholson Pavilion. That's a $55 million renovation. It is the largest indoor venue in the region. We attract about 40,000 visitors a year. Pre-pandemic, we will get back to that place, absolutely. From robotics and archery tournaments to Ellensburg High School graduation. We will combine Nicholson Hall with Purser Hall and really expand our health education facilities. We are also in the process right now of creating plans for taking down 2 buildings, Farrell Hall and Language and Literature. They're on either side of Brooks Library, and building a new building, what we're now calling the North Academic Complex. It'll house our humanities programs and our social science programs. And we have requested funding to do the pre-design on an arts education complex. That'll be about $300,000 for music, theater, and visual arts programs. Our priorities this year in the legislative session have focused on student success and learning recovery. We know that in the high schools, but also for us, that our students have had a challenging time maintaining their learning. And this has especially affected certain populations of students. So we have requested some funding to run some pre-orientation programs for first generation students, students of color, low-income students, to increase their retention rates, persistence rates, so that they will succeed at the institution. We've also requested funding for a peer-to-peer mentoring program and a cluster hire in faculty around diversity to advance more diverse faculty on our campus. And then a final request on the operating budget is for funding for a computer science program to develop more initiatives around cybersecurity. We're looking at developing a 10-week cybersecurity boot camp for non-traditional students, people who are already employed, and hiring more faculty with this expertise. One of the primary overlaps that we have with the city, and I know that we work on very closely with you all, is around the environment and sustainability. This is a remarkable time in the state of Washington with some legislation at the federal and the state level that will be very challenging for us to comply with, but we are taking this very seriously and proactively. We are committed to reducing our emissions and our fossil fuel consumption, but this will be challenging for us to do. There are several initiatives that we have running right now that will allow us to figure out how to do this. We have some exploratory studies to investigate geothermal energy so that we can shift away from using natural gas. Ellensburg is the supplier of our natural gas. We are actually the largest consumer of natural gas from Ellensburg. We're also doing audits of our buildings, several of our buildings, to look at the energy usage so that we can hopefully understand the full energy consumption of the campus and understand ways in which we can reduce those energy usage. All of our newer buildings, our health science building that will open soon has solar panels on the roofs of those so that we can shift as much as we can to renewables. We also focus all of our minor works and facilities renovations and projects towards driving down our energy consumptions and increasing our efficiency. We are in the process of launching a conversation about developing a climate action plan to set goals and targets for the institution for 2030, 2040, and 2050. And then finally, we are also working on developing a new vision and mission for the institution. This is a really important moment in our history where we will have a more clarified and unified purpose and a strategic plan that flows out of that. We again have convened a large group of folks, faculty, staff, and students from across the institution to facilitate a conversation. They're not the ones who will write the new vision and mission and strategic plan, but they're really listening to the university campus and the Ellensburg community and Kittitas Valley community so that we can figure out what it is that we should be focusing on and where we should be heading 20, 30, 40 years out. We solicited input from the university community as well as from Ellensburg. And from all of that feedback, we are now drafting vision and mission statements. We will have open forums in early March, and we will be inviting members of Ellensburg City to come join us for those open forums looking at draft statements. That work on developing a new vision and mission will also be tied very closely to a new branding initiative so that we can do a better job of telling our story. We do a remarkable job here at Central Washington University, transforming students' lives, their families' lives, and communities. And we don't tell that story often enough. So that will be another branding and marketing initiative that will flow out of that. You all will be getting invitations to the open forums for the vision and mission as soon as we set those dates and have them finalized. Any questions? Anything else that you would like me to cover?
You on that side? Apparently not. We appreciate you coming, and I know you're working closely with staff and there's ties there. So, and welcome to the community.
Thank you so much.
I
Yep.
haven't had the chance to meet you before.
Well, thank you for the partnership and the collaboration. Again, we couldn't do what we do without the partnership and relationship. So it's an important one.
Yes, we are, as our largest employer, you are integral to the city of Ellensburg. So
Absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate your efforts. Thank you. Okay. Is there a COVID-19 update? Who is?
There is. Hi, Mackenzie Carter, Kittitas County Public Health Department. I'll keep it short and sweet, just a couple things real quick. So the Kittitas County Public Health Department data dashboard updates have been temporarily paused due to the recent surge in COVID-19 cases. The same information relating to the state and Kittitas County specifically is still available on the Washington State Department of Health data dashboard. For COVID-19 vaccines, the eligibility and timing for booster doses has shifted a little bit. So individuals who are 12 and older and at least 5 months past their last Pfizer vaccines are eligible for a booster. Individuals who are 18 and older and at least 5 months past their Moderna vaccines are eligible and encouraged, and individuals who are 18 and older and at least 2 months after receiving their Johnson & Johnson vaccine are eligible and encouraged to receive a booster dose. Both primary and booster doses are still available at KVH clinics as well as pharmacies. The health department has been working with emergency management out of the sheriff's office to order and supply community organizations and locations around Kittitas County with heavier duty masks, such as N95s and KN95s. We are not yet sure how many we will be able to procure, but we are keeping a list and hoping to distribute those to community partners as soon as we receive them. And we hope to use a similar model to distribute home test kits in the future when those are available. And then lastly, the health department and the Kittitas County Health Network are facilitating the formation of a COVID-19 health equity coalition. And this is comprised of a wide range of community members from across the county to address COVID-specific health equity issues, such as access to testing, vaccines, isolation measures, any number of things. We are having our first meeting next month, and we are all very excited to get started. Can I answer any questions for the council?
Seeing none, thank you, Mackenzie.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we are at 6C, boards and commission applications on page 36. We have several applicants for the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. We heard from Torino Lozana at our last meeting. Is it Myra Colazzo?
I believe she's online.
Is she
Yes, it
online?
is.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Myra. This is a chance for you to just introduce yourself to the council and just tell us about yourself and why you would like to be part of this commission.
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Myra Colazzo. So I am the executive director at Central Washington Disability Resources. I've been living in Kittitas County for around 19 years. I went to Thorpe for middle school, and then I was able to graduate from Ellensburg High School. And then I went to college at Yakima Community College. So I am part of the community. I've been around and I've been trying to be a big advocate for the Hispanic population in our county, as well as individuals with disabilities, which is through my work. So we do a lot of advocacy in our community. We provide a lot of resources to them. And I think that this committee would be something that I would love to be part of, just because of my skills and my knowledge of the community and my passion for the county that I live in. I have a lot of family here, as well as a lot of people that I know in the Hispanic population. So I know a lot of barriers that they experience in our area. So I think that I can be not necessarily their voice, but somebody that can help advocate for them.
Thank you. Council, any questions for Myra? Okay, none at this time. So thanks for coming. Theresa Francis Devine, I think I saw online as well.
Hello, I'm Theresa Francis Devine. I am a professor in the Law and Justice Department at Central, and I've been in the community for 17 years. And I wanted to get involved with the council to represent communities of color, Black people here, advocate for the Black voice and the Black experience in Ellensburg. I often felt invisible in my time here. And so I wanted to get involved. I'm also involved in the Ellensburg Bail Fund, and I'm very active on campus with students of color. And I wanted to get more involved in the community. I volunteered for Helen House. I also would like to see more community engagement with Central Washington University. So I would like to be an asset in that, a bridge to students of color and the institution with the community. So if you'll have me, I'm prepared to get involved.
Thank you, Theresa. Any questions for Theresa? Not at this time. So thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Lacey Harrison is also online.
Hello, council. At this time, I think that you have a lot of great options for this seat, and I would like to withdraw my application.
Okay, but you're going to stay on parks, right?
Yes,
Okay. Well, thank you for considering doing double duty.
thank you.
Simran Kaur. Is Simran, I don't see online.
I never got confirmation from her. So.
Okay. Alex. Can you pronounce the last?
Mondahano.
Mondahano. Okay, thank you. Is Alex, I see online. I should have learned Spanish a long time ago.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Alex.
Yes, my name is Alex Mandujano. I came to Ellensburg in 1992 as a transfer student from Yakima. Prior to coming back to college, I spent 15 years of my life working in the orchards. So I am familiar with the agricultural worker. I graduated from Central in 95, at which point I became employed in the science building and the science department. When I graduated, prior to graduating and during my employment at CWU, I started to advocate for multicultural harmony and education. I've been involved in the community ever since, either teaching English as a second language, Spanish. We also, with the help of La Casa Hogar in Yakima, we've been teaching citizenship courses to assist those that are willing and able to qualify and participate to become citizens. I am a member of Apoyo Food Bank. I do deliveries for Apoyo to those that are lacking transportation. I've been doing several other social events, all in the effort to assimilate and teach, and in the process learn myself about other cultures as well. So I am happy that this entity, this group was formed. I thought it was very needed for a long time, and I'm glad that there are others like myself that are recognizing the need. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there questions for Alex at this time? Seeing none, thanks for coming, Alex. And Casey Ross.
Hi, I am a student of Central Washington University. I am trans, and I thought that I would be a good resource for the city. But hearing the other applicants, I believe that there are people better suited for this position. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay. Normally, we would wait a couple of weeks before appointing. This is unusual because we had the one in our first meeting. And given the number, I was going to suggest that we do interviews like we had with the parks, but we're winnowing down to 4 applicants. Council, do you want to wait until our next meeting? And would you like the chair and staff of the DEI Commission to make, conduct some interviews and do recommendations? Or Shall we just?
What's the chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of the 4 candidates are strong.
Nancy, could you speak
sorry.
closer to the microphone? Thanks.
I think all of the 4 candidates are very strong. The commission is only 6 members, but we have like 10 or 12 groups that could be represented.
Mhm.
So, you know, the Hispanic groups, Teresa's application, Mara's, any of them could contribute really well. We don't have a Hispanic person right now.
If I may, I think the question that was being asked was whether the DEI commission, or we wanted a process that we did
You want
similarly
provision?
to the last time.
Okay.
Do you and the DI staff, would you like the opportunity to interview and ask more questions of these applicants? Or are we ready? Hang on just one second, or shall we make an appointment at our next meeting?
I think it would be good if we could do some more interviews.
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Who has their hand raised?
Hi, my name is Adriana Rios. I don't know if there's going to be some more interviews, but I think I was skipped over.
This is for the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission. I believe you applied to be on the council.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry, my mistake.
Okay, so we will expect a recommendation from you at our next meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And now we are at the City Council position 7 applications and introductions. And we are fortunate to have a large number of qualified applicants for this position, and so many that we didn't think that we could adequately interview and conduct our normal business at this meeting. And so at this time, we're just asking for introductions. So 3 minutes from the applicants, and we have set next Monday, the 24th, for actual interviews. So I'm going to get help timing because I always forget. And I think we'll take folks in order, alphabetical order, just to make it easy. So Sarah Beauchamp, you're to be first. So yeah, if you could just introduce yourself and why you would like to serve and what you think you would bring to this position.
Oh, my daughter just surprised me and showed up, so I'm a little just excited. But yes, so first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. This is an amazing, I'm thrilled, and I'm looking around this room at all the amazing candidates, and I'm just, the whole thing has me in awe. So I appreciate every minute. So my name is Sarah Beauchamp. I'm a small business owner here in Ellensburg. My journey to Ellensburg started in about 2011 when my oldest daughter, Abby, decided to come to Central Washington as a student. Well, over the course of those 4.5 years, I fell in love with Ellensburg. And so as her 2 younger sisters got onto their lives and got out of high school, I knew that I wanted to get back into the hospitality industry. That was my passion. And I thought there wasn't a better place to do it than Ellensburg, because Abby never came home. She stayed. So, which was a great deal for me, because I, again, fell in love with the town, came over here, opened up my bar. And I have gotten very fortunate. My youngest daughter followed me. My mom and dad followed me. And now my middle daughter and her husband will be here at the end of March. So we are truly all going to be in here and enjoy this wonderful community. And so I'm very excited about that. So I have a very unique position with the type of business that I have, that I meet a lot of people from our community. from our farmers and ranchers to top CEOs, executives from our biggest employers. I have caregivers, teachers, educators, lifelong residents, as long as our new friends and neighbors that are coming into our community. So with the type of job that I hold as well, you get to know these people. I'm a part of their lives. I hear their frustrations, their concerns from their personal lives, their professional lives, how they are with our city and our small government. I also get the joy of being a part of their successes. These are the things that they talk to me about. So I really feel as though I know a lot of people and what they need and would like in our community. So as a single mother that raised 3 strong, independent young women who all live and work in this very community, as a business owner on a daily basis, I make decisions, a lot of them tough. I balance budgets, I multitask, I compromise every day with the work that I do. And as a human, I've had a lot of success and failures. And so a lot of heartache and joy. So that brings me to a lot of life experience. So what I might lack on paper, I certainly have. So, but I believe that what qualifies me above all else as a candidate for this position, as I look around this room, is my pure love for this community and its people. So with that being said, if I am chosen, Ellensburg will get the very best that I have to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. James Chow. Is it-
Hi there. So my name is James Cho, and I'm not, I'm a recent transplant to Ellensburg. Now, probably about 3 years ago. So what brought me out here was a job at Community Health of Central Washington at the Mountain View Clinic. And so that actually drew me to Ellensburg. But, you know, prior to that, I've driven by Ellensburg many, many times. As a kid growing up, my parents would drive back and forth and we go through Ellensburg and just do a pit stop and get gas. And you asked me 5 years ago, would I be living in Ellensburg? I would have said, no, there's no way, it's the drive through town. But I was fortunate enough to get this job at Community Health, and that just opened my eyes to the possibilities. And since living here for the past 3 years, it's been wonderful. I wouldn't live anywhere else, and I'm trying to establish roots here. And so that's why I want to run, hopefully fill that council position and, you know, put those roots really deep and really know the city and make it thrive and grow. The potential is out there. It's just a matter of kind of plotting the journey along the way to build that, you know, future dream for the city. And there's so much potential, and there's great residents, as you can see by the applicants. So thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. And David Hartless.
Hello, my name is David Harless. I have been living in Ellensburg on and off since 1990. I moved away in about 2008 and decided to come back in 2009 for a job here at a locally owned business from a local. And this is home. I grew up here. I know what this city has to offer and I know where it can go. And when I was a kid, I used to go down to youth services and hang out with Stan Bassett. And I saw what that man did working in the city council and in the community. And when this position opened up, that was a big driving force was, can I follow the same steps that Stan did? The people of Ellensburg are the forefront of this community. And I believe I'm qualified for this position because I know what people like. I've worked for small businesses all over the county. I work for one right now on top of going to school and work at the university. I spent 14 years at a small business with a local person working. During that time there, I actually worked with the city council over disputes with the downtown association and helped come to a compromise with everybody on how to resolve that issue. My biggest qualification is that I'm from here. I grew up here. I don't want to leave here. And that's kind of what I can bring to everybody here is just that is the personality of a person who's not afraid to voice their opinion, but at the same time, listen to every side of everything. And just from watching how Stan did when I was a kid, it's kind of a driving force for me right there. Just seeing how he did things and how he worked with it. The guy was always level-headed and always just got things done. I don't know how to this day, I think it's some kind of secret sorcery he had. I'm not positive on that, but he just found a way to get things done. And I really want to be able to give back to the community that helped me so much when I was growing up, to show that there is something here for people and help to show everybody on the outside that Ellensburg just isn't a pit stop area. I don't want that to be the first thought when somebody pulls off 106 or 109. And you have great candidates here as well, and I look forward to, hearing all their stories. And thank you for your time. Appreciate that, City Council.
Thank you, David. Jean Marie Linhart.
I wanted to thank everyone for being here today. I am impressed with the quality of the other candidates for this open city council position. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Jean Marie Linhart, and I live on 2nd Avenue. I moved to Ellensburg from Texas in August of 2014 to join the mathematics faculty at Central Washington University. I got here as fast as I could. I am currently an associate professor, but before that I worked for years as a software developer. I'm married to Stuart Boersma, who is another mathematics professor, and we have a dog named Kona that we love very much. Stuart and I are big walkers. We walk to work. We walk the dog 3 times a day. She wishes we'd walk her more. And we walked here tonight. She was very put out that she didn't get to come with us. I love hiking, bicycling, and geocaching, and Ellensburg is a perfect community for those activities. Bicycling is actually how I first got involved with city government. Before I moved here, I was president of a bicycling club in College Station, Texas, and I was a regular advocate for cycling as transportation with that city council. I became a certified cycling safety instructor with the League of American Bicyclists, and because of that, I was appointed to the council transportation committee in College Station, where I served for several years before I moved up here. Even with that prior experience, I am sure I have a lot to learn about city government. To help with this, I have skills at research. I have skills at learning new things, and I am a problem solver who understands numbers. I will take time and make the effort to understand issues and listen to people. I enjoy solving problems both with and for people, and I enjoy working with people, which is why I love teaching math and why I'm interested in this position with the City Council. Thank you for listening to my introduction tonight.
Thank you. And Jennifer Lubansky.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Lubansky, and I'm a mental health counselor in private practice here in Ellensburg. My resume of overseeing a variety of teams and projects while running my own business reflects some of my qualifications to serve as a city council member. I believe I have a unique perspective concerning Ellensburg and surrounding communities, as my family connections go back several generations in the county. I understand the value of ranchers and farmers and local charm, while also valuing the development of a community equipped for the 21st century. I spent 20 years living in King County while obtaining my undergraduate degree in education, starting a family, and obtaining a master's degree in counseling. During this time, I assisted my husband in running a media business, working on projects for companies like Microsoft and T-Mobile. I researched professionals with coding solutions for the innovative board game CNET. I organized post-production on a feature film, overseen volunteers running church children's programs, run respite programs for children with autism, and led varied groups with varied purposes. Since returning to Kittitas County, I've observed the benefits and drawbacks of what our community has to offer children and families. As a contractor with CPS, I provided intensive family services and learn about the realities of life in Ellensburg and surrounding communities. I've seen our need for expanded and targeted mental health services. I've seen people in desperate situations and marveled at the heart of this community to help the underprivileged. I've often contemplated the challenge of raising people from poverty without creating endless subsidized housing. I've participated in the local ministerial association and have watched as churches work to meet the needs of those in crisis. I can see that our community needs particularly innovative solutions to offset the reality that much of our land in this county is part of the state and federal park system. This leaves a small tax base carrying a heavy tax burden. As a counselor, business owner, and minister, I believe I have a broad understanding of the heart of Ellensburg, and I want to use my skills to support this growing community in a way that benefits everyone. I am very grateful for the opportunity to apply for council, and I look forward to what I will learn as this process proceeds. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Monica Miller.
This is pretty cool. Okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. My name is Monica Miller. My pronouns are she, her. As I mentioned in my letter of interest, I'm very interested in participating in the growth of Ellensburg and the creation of a compassionate community through thoughtful policy change. I happen to wear my favorite t-shirt today, which says "You are not alone." And you're not alone. And I'm really interested in building a community that creates resources where everybody here feels that same way. A little bit about myself. I grew up in the military, in and around military bases around the country until I was 18. My dad's final assignment was at the Pentagon, and my mother had a long career as a civil servant. All that to say that I grew up with a deep respect and gratitude for public service. And I suppose that's why I ended up working in the nonprofit sector for most of my professional career. I moved to Ellensburg, which I now know to be the land of the Confederated Tribes and Bands of the Yakima people, to start my family in 2010. My child attends Morgan, and my husband has been at Central Washington University for 15 years. The things that I believe most qualify me to represent the people of Ellensburg include my experience at Gallery One, with an emphasis on community building, placemaking, economic growth, and equity. We've worked with the schools, we've worked with small businesses, and have created partnerships with many other nonprofits, including CWU and community members, to amplify their voices through programs and events, such as Pachaka Cha, that has provided a platform for over 150 community members. And if anybody here would like to speak, I would love to follow up with you. While a majority of my experience with the city has been as a volunteer on the Lodging Tax Commission and the Ellensburg Arts Commission, when I was able to work with a lot of you, council members and community members, to advocate for and create a policy that has expanded arts access for our community. I am also very interested in supporting the community's needs for equitable and sustainable infrastructure, economic development, housing, and catalyzing the resources that are already available to us. My work on the Washington State Arts Commission has reinforced for me how state and national policies can impact our local government and have a specific impact on the people in our community. I strive to be both responsive to the needs of the moment through immediate action, but also proactive through long-term planning. I see this moment in our community's history as needing both, and needing people willing to take the risks, but also to put the work in to be informed and to act with radical empathy. I come here with an open heart and mind and a question about how together we can do better in all areas of civic engagement and truly build a community where everyone has equitable access to quality of life.
Thank you, Monica. And David Pena Alfaro.
Good night, and thank you for the opportunity to make this happen. I'm humbled to be part of this process. So my name is David Peña Alfaro. I am a Hispanic immigrant to this great country, and I'm proud to say that I am, by choice, an American citizen. And I'm also grateful to life to be able to live in this great city, a place that I have called home for the last 5 years. While telling you about myself, why I believe I'm qualified for this position, I'm going to tell you what I believe I can bring to the table. So I'm a data-driven person. For the last 2 decades, I have been making financial projections and financial analysis, analyzing trends and businesses. These financial models, the idea and projections, are used to make better decisions based on facts, decision based on data points, not on hunches or guesses. So that's something I would love to bring to the table, or let's say to the chair. I have experience managing budgets, including centrals. I have been CFO of a couple of companies. I have been a financial consultant for commercial banks developing business, for developing banks developing communities, and I have 8 years of experience in investment banking. I'd love to bring this experience to the City Council. I have a master's degree in international management from Thunderbird Global School of International Management, a program that was, when I attended, #1 in the country, above all, of course, all the Ivy Leagues. In my current position at Central Washington University as Director of Business Intelligence, I am in charge of data warehouse, institutional dashboards, and analysis of data and metadata. I have also experience in manufacturing and also in the university, I serve in several committees, including the President Budget Advisory Committee. So I'm an honest and balanced person, and not only in the way I do things, but in the way I approach things intellectually. So I like to see different perspectives of things, analyze them, and try to make the best decision. I do that in my professional life. I do that in my personal life. And just to come clean, I could say that sometimes I bring my wife crazy doing that. I feel connected to my community. I try to participate in activities, meet people, be part of it. I have supported our police department for WAC compliant, and I'm booked for training on officers. So
yeah, if you want to.
As I mentioned, I am Hispanic, and I try to pass the knowledge that I've got in 2 decades to other people. I have written editorials in the Daily Record, and I have worked for Univision Yakima. So being in the council would be a great honor and a huge responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Adriana Rios.
Hi, members of City Council. My name is Adriana Rios. I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to speak in front of you about myself and why I am the best candidate for City Council. I was actually born in Ellensburg, but was not raised here. I've actually lived in a few different places, such as Yakima, Oklahoma, California, and even Brazil. Of all the places I've lived, Ellensburg is by far my favorite place. I like to call this place my home, even though I was born here, but was not raised here. The culture of this city is unlike anywhere else I've ever been. I strongly believe the best way to understand what works best and what does not is by immersing yourself in the culture and then cross-comparing. This is a main component of what my bachelor's degree is in, which is anthropology. In anthropology, we study cultures with an ethnocentric approach. Another reason why I am the best person for this job is my love and appreciation of Ellensburg and the people of this community. I grew up nearby in Yakima, and the insight I bring to this panel is how unique and good Ellensburg is from all other places I've ever lived. I would like to help preserve these beautiful qualities with all of you so that future families and new residents can expand on the values of the growing diversity in Ellensburg. I'm proud to live in Ellensburg because of my neighbors who have set roots here, the history, and all of the opportunities the city offers. I actually attended Central Washington University. That's when I moved from Yakima in 2017 after my cultural year in Brazil. I studied and graduated with a science degree in anthropology with a focus on crime scene analysis. This last year, I became a mother to my son, Apollo River, which has been the greatest blessing in my life. My loving partner and I are going to raise our family here, and I want to be involved at the peak of change for our city. I am a young woman with a young family, and therefore I have a perspective of what families need and want from our city, and from our city member and from our council members representing Ellensburg. Currently, I'm pursuing my master's degree in forensic science at Arizona State University online. I'm very proud of my accomplishments, especially because less than 12% of Latinos achieve a bachelor's degree, let alone pursue their master's degree. I am immensely interested in serving my community and being a voice to the people of Ellensburg. I would be honored to set history for Ellensburg by being the first Latina on the Ellensburg City Council. I believe that with my background, I can bring a unique, cultured, and diverse voice for the underrepresented Latino community of Ellensburg. I also would enjoy being able to work alongside the current city council members to make sure the minority of this great city are best represented. There is no better way to bring a community together than by inclusion. Thank you all for listening, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you, Adriana. Jeff St. John.
Hi, my name is Jeff St. John. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. I moved to Ellensburg in '93 when I met a local girl. She counted me to move here. I'm a retired police sergeant. I have three children, 5 grandchildren. I worked at CWPD and the Sheriff's Department. I recently retired from the Navy Reserve at the rank Lieutenant Commander, where I served 31 years. I've been involved with the local VFW. Additionally served on the Kittitas County Veterans Coalition Board and the Civil Service Commission. I hold a bachelor's degree in multidisciplinary studies. I believe my broad-based experience and decision-making capability will be an asset to the city of Ellensburg and the council. And I thank you all for this opportunity. Hopefully that made up for some time.
Thank you. Okay, Joshua Thompson.
Hello, my name is Joshua Thompson. First, thank you for the time and consideration that you're giving all of us. My desire to serve on city council goes back a ways. I've always been interested in finding ways in which I can help my community. And Ellensburg to me is absolutely my community. I moved here 6 years ago, though I spent a lot of time before that helping an uncle build a house, my dad build a house, my sister double majored at CWU, and my wife works at CW today. So the journey for me really began back in April when I made a decision to enter into the city council race last year. And I learned so much from being out there. I knocked on 1,500 doors. I sat at numerous kitchen tables. I had impromptu gas pump conversations on what was bothering people. At the end of the day, I came up just short, garnered 1,739 votes. And my desire never stopped at that point. If anything, it grew. And so when I saw the opportunity to apply for this open position, it made sense to me to continue to pursue what so many people had asked me to pursue and what I wanted to do for this community. My qualifications career-wise, I've spent the last 11 years working in big tech, primarily consulting as an engineer, working on both marketing and business topics, primarily for Microsoft and Amazon. In that time, you had a lot of rooms that were divided people, and you had to shine light on the facts. And that was my job, was to understand a problem, to come in with a solution and be prepared to back it up. I never came into a room with a problem without a proposed answer. And I think you have to have that mindset in any room to help drive a conversation. I've always been a listener first. That's probably why consulting worked really well for me. And I want to bring that skill set to this body. I'm always open for what the truth is, where the facts lie. In fact, I love the fact that this is a nonpartisan position. To me, there's the old joke that potholes aren't partisan. And I truly believe that. And so if you were to select me, I would come onto this council and I would put everything into it. My campaign slogan was seeking to serve with the servant's heart. And that's exactly the mentality that I would bring to this body so that I know that my child can live here, go to school here, maybe even go to university here, and just make the city a better place. I heard my time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Darren Wright.
Mayor Lopquist and members of the council. My name is Darren Wright. I live up on Chapman Lane up on Radio Hill. I've been a resident of the city for 25 years, and I've been a resident of the county for over 30 years. My wife and I purchased the same house we lived in the whole time. We've raised two girls that have went through the Ellensburg School District, graduated. One went on to Central Washington University, graduated with her degree, and now is employed at Central Washington University also. My wife is also an employee of Central. So I'm an honorably discharged Marine Corps veteran. I served 4 years in the Marine Corps a long time ago. And since then, I have been serving as I've got 30 plus years in the Washington State Patrol. I'm currently a sergeant with the Washington State Patrol. And so I have a bachelor's degree in public relations, and I'm in my final term for my master's degree in public relations, which I'll get in April. I spent 23 years here in the city, in this county, as a volunteer firefighter and reserve firefighter. Most of that was with Ellensburg Fire Department until 2005 when it came to Kittitas Valley Fire and Rescue. And then I served until 2016 as a reserve firefighter here. I was the president of Morgan Middle School Parent Group when my daughter was attending there. And I was the co-chair for 12 years for Cops, Kids, and Firefighters, which most people know as Shop of the Cop. So I ran that with Chief Cook for about 12 years. I currently serve as president of the large charitable organization, the Memorial Foundation for the State Patrol, which oversees over $1 million worth of assets. So funding, budgeting, and fiduciary responsibility is something I'm very concerned about and very aware of. I've had a lifelong commitment to service to my community, to my state, and to my country. I served the community as a firefighter for a long time, served my state for 30 years, and I served my country prior to that. I want to continue that lifelong service, and I feel that this could be an opportunity to serve the community of Ellensburg in the best way that I'm available to do. I believe that integrity is the most important trait a person can have. It's the only thing we have that we have absolute control over, and that's our integrity. I truly believe that treating everyone with respect and dignity has always been my goal. My job is law enforcement, and when I was serving people as a firefighter and an EMT, if you treat people with respect and dignity, it doesn't matter who they are or where they come from, they will be treated properly. And I truly believe that. I feel that my life experience and ability to be open-minded and the desire to make the city of Ellensburg the best place to live and work are the traits that are necessary for this position, and I believe I hold those traits. I truly appreciate you considering me for this position. I know we have a bunch of very good candidates, so thank you very much.
Thank you. And Darren was our last candidate. So again, we will see you all again on next Monday. We'll have a bit more time with you to answer some questions that the council has formulated. So I appreciate you all for stepping up and volunteering to.
I think it would be the simplest, given the quality of the applicants, if we just all resigned and.
Well, the training on that might be
Adam
a
wants
challenge.
to, Adam wants to stay.
Yeah, we are going to have a very difficult decision ahead of us, and hopefully we'll muddle through that as best we can, but looking forward to spending just a little more time with you next Monday. And thank you all for coming.
Mayor, ma'am, and I would just like to remind the candidates that we've asked for a written response by tomorrow at 5, and there are still a couple of folks who haven't scheduled their interviews for next week. So really appreciate some follow-up. Thanks.
Thank you. So now it's time for citizen comment on non-agenda items. Is there anyone? No one has signed up. Would anyone like to speak? Yes, sir. So this is, so you're going to be limited to 3 minutes, and you're cautioned not to engage in conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the council meeting. And yeah, if you could state your name and address, please.
Well, I don't know my address quite yet. Okay, I live in the dorms.
Okay.
But my name is Aiden Mendoza. I am the Civic Engagement Coordinator working under the Office of Governmental Affairs at Central Washington University. And well, my job is essentially to watch these meetings and listen to what y'all have to say. And that's the reason why I'm here. Actually, last public meeting, if you guys remember, you guys talked about your legislative priorities. Are you guys hearing me all right, by the way?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys talked about your legislative priorities, and well, everything seemed pretty well. The only thing that stood out to me was the part about police department legislative priorities. And well, originally I had urgent reservations about it, but I referred to my colleagues, to my classmates, to the VP of Governmental Affairs, and to our Legislative Action Committee. And one thing that stood out the most out of those priorities under the police department section was the position on qualified immunity. So the unanimous response was that we stand in firm opposition to qualified immunity, both for moral and legal reasons. Based on what I've read, you know, and I'm only 21 years of age, so I still have a lot to learn, but based on the available literature, what I've seen is that qualified immunity, both by liberal and conservative scholars, has been argued as one of the most egregious statutes that exist in our judicial system today, which is one of the reasons why it's being worked over in not just Washington State, but in every state in the country. So I agree, though, nevertheless, precedent exists. And I'm not here to say that the police department is wrong and I'm right. I'm simply here to say that my responsibility as civic engagement coordinator is to say what we believe in our position on this issue. I agree, police officers have an important but dangerous job. I agree why they would want to have qualified immunity. At the end of the day, we're all humans. When they clock out, they take off their badge and unbuckle their utility belt and take off their body armor. They too want to see their loved ones in the eyes one more time. I believe that all of us here can say that, right? We all want that. We all ask our creator for one more day, one more hour, one more instant And because I believe that we desire alike, I also believe that we share some of the same vices. All of us fall short of the mark, and all of us are bound to make mistakes. From the mayor to the janitor, to the president of Central, to the professor, from the chief of police to myself, we all make mistakes. And again, I'm not asking for you guys to concede to my position, our position, but to
That's
listen
time.
to us, to open a line of communication between the police department and ourselves at the university, so that going forward, we can have a conversation about what matters to both sides. You know, I feel like most of it.
Thank you, Ada.
Can I just finish? Because I feel like it's a really important issue.
Very
Well,
quickly.
Yeah, just one last comment. Both sides tend to fail to admit when they are wrong, and also fail to humbly reserve their grandstanding when they are right. I just want a line of communication between the police department and ourselves.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on something that's not on our agenda tonight? Mr. Kelleher.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. Pat Kelleher, 6530 Wilson Creek Road. Public safety is still a concern on Cora Street. Any amount of friction in the daily drop off or pickup of our children at the two schools on Cora Street causes the public street to stop functioning. The root cause of the current safety concern is a design failure. Garco, the contractor for these two new projects, received $50 million and had over 50 acres to properly design a system. To facilitate public discussion of this concern, I have requested that the safety of Cora Street be an agenda item for your next council meeting. Garco should explain how their design was intended to work, into function, and address any concerns brought forth by the public. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a reminder that our council's policy is not to act on anything brought to us in this citizen comment portion of our agenda. If the council wants to follow up with any requests that are made, we need to do that at a later time with the city manager. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak on non-agenda items? Thank you. So there are no public hearings.
Madam Mayor, did you want to check to see if there's anyone online? I don't know if there
Oh,
is. or
I'm
not.
sorry. There is no one online. Thank you for the reminder. We are at 9A, second reading and of ordinance 4885, amending chapter 2.3, the multifamily property tax incentives. And that is page 121. Jamie.
I'm here. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. What you have before you tonight is the second reading of ordinance 4885. As you can recall, on December 20th, 2021, council approved the resolution to notify the public of our intent to expand the residential targeted area for the multifamily tax exemption program to include the CC2 zone. And then following that, we held the actual public hearing on January 3rd of 2022, approving that, and council approved the first reading of this ordinance. Our procedure is to now bring it back for a second reading and to make that effective. So we will be able to include the CC2 zone as part of our incentives of the multifamily tax exemption program with the adoption of this ordinance. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Any questions? Are there any motions?
Madam Mayor, I move second reading and adoption of ordinance 4885.
Second.
Motion and second for second reading and adoption of ordinance 4885. And I should have asked if there's anyone who wants to comment from the audience or online. Seeing no one. Any further discussion on this item? All in favor?
I'll take a roll.
Oh,
Yep, that's
sorry.
okay.
Back in the hang of this.
Elliot,
Yes.
Goodlow,
Yes.
Lilquist,
Yes.
Miller,
Aye.
Tab, Win.
Aye.
And you read it again?
Yep.
Yeah.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ellensburg, Washington relating to Chapter 2.30 multifamily tax incentives.
Thank you. The next item is a subcommittee report and recommendation for the DEI commission member. Councilmember Goodlow, do you have?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. So just a brief background on the issue. Over the holidays, the city councils and city staff were made aware of an issue that occurred on the CW campus on October 5th, 2021. Commissioner Landis Hanson from the DEI Commission was a part of the counter protest that arose that day from the CW student body. There was a group had come on campus that from out of state and protesting against abortion. During the course of the event, a video was made by one of the members of that group, and it was released on social media by Commissioner Hanson. We were made aware of this by several members of the community who saw the video and were concerned about the behavior of DEI commissioner who represents the city, as well as a person who is a student on campus. At the January 3rd meeting of the council, I asked the mayor to appoint a subcommittee to review the situation and bring back a recommendation to council concerning Mr. Hanson's behavior and language on that day. Subcommittee of Councilmember Wynn, Councilmember Miller, and myself was appointed in the 2 weeks that have passed since that meeting. We have met and developed our process for how we wanted to move forward. And we have also spent quite a bit of time talking with Mr. Landis. A full report of our process and our findings and conclusions of our investigation is in your packet, city council packet. Madam Mayor, we are unanimously recommending that Councilmember Landis be allowed to stay on the DEI commission. And we've also asked him to make a public statement at this meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Hanson, do you want to approach?
Thank you, Mayor Lilquist and members of the City Council for this opportunity to address the city and our various communities. I would like to start off by offering my sincerest apology. The words I used on October 5th, they weren't right. They were not made in any malicious effort, but nonetheless, they hurt members of my community, Ellensburg, and therefore I should have chosen my words with that community in mind. My mindset on that day was to try and defend my campus from harmful rhetoric that I and other student peers considered detrimental to the ability of birthing people to speak their story and express their opinions. Their rhetoric, the protesters' rhetoric, compared abortion to the attempted destruction of my people in the Holocaust and the Black codes and Jim Crow in this country. This compounded with the understanding that this group was not from Ellensburg, but was from 2 states away in California, can help to contextualize my mindset for that event. With that being said, the circumstances do not give me a pass to say whatever I want. And I should have better understood my role as accountable to the people of Ellensburg. I understand the harm that I've caused with my words, and moving forward, I will strive to take this learned experience with me. I will keep the community I'm responsible to in my mind as I try and strive for a better Ellensburg, one that can be home to all, and one where everyone feels able to express their opinions respectfully and freely. I hope this community continues to be critical and hold me accountable. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Council, I believe the request is do we accept or reject the subcommittee's report and recommendations? Any discussion? Yes, there is. So who got the red card? Nancy.
Rich did.
Rich
He's
did.
a minute over.
I didn't even say anything.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this matter, offer opinions on this? Is there anyone online? I'm seeing no one. Thank you.
As a member of the subcommittee, could I speak?
Yes.
I appreciate Councilmember Goodlow's description. And it's challenging. I think Mr. Hansen's, I'll try to speak into the microphone. This is muffling. We appreciated his willingness to sit with us, discuss the issue, and for him to accept responsibility for his actions. I think we all agreed, and I speak for myself, but I think we are consensus that the acts on October 5th, I think as Mr. Hansen's alluded to, he fell short in several aspects of it in his behavior. We talked a lot about the fundamental mission of DEI and being a commission on DEI and what that meant. But I think it also translates to all boards and commissions of the city of Ellensburg. Any member, and I think this could be a lesson for anyone serving as a commissioner or a board member on a city committee, that as an appointed commissioner or committee member, you in fact are a public official, and the public looks to you for service. So I think the recognition, Mr. Hansen's acknowledged this, that he realizes that those words were not what those words were, and his actions were interpreted by some as representative of his service as the city of Ellensburg commissioner, which was, we understood, was not the intent, but nevertheless, that is kind of the impression for some. So we, I think as a group, the subcommittee, we're satisfied with Mr. Hansen's apology and recognition that he could have and should have used better judgment, could have been more civil, and ultimately showed more respect. I think that's a consensus, and I think part of his acceptance of the responsibility for this acknowledges that. So I think we feel, and I think DEI for us is a new thing. This is a new commission, and I think it's a challenge. And I think we value the willingness to have the conversation and just the willingness to say, okay, we're going to try to, we will do better. And I think it's been stated in the record that this is, I think we felt comfortable providing acknowledging, as a speaker said earlier tonight, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone, I think, has strong opinions. I think the challenge is trying to stay within the lines. I would just say for the record, if people are looking at this sort of from an ideological standpoint, I think our consensus would be the same if the situation was exactly reversed. It isn't just the position on the issue. It's how a commissioner handles themselves in the public setting, representing effectively the city of Ellensburg 24/7. And that's really what this comes down to. So that was our thinking. And hopefully the community can see that and everyone can learn from this experience. So that's all I'll say.
Councilmember Wynn, did you have anything to add?
No, I don't. I thank Landis for coming here for your statement tonight. Standing up in front of people isn't exactly easy to do that. So thank you for coming here tonight.
I just need to wade in a bit. I've got to say that I'm challenged with the committee's recommendation. I understand, and I mean, I had a conversation with Landis prior to the council meeting about the specific incident, and I'm not. It wasn't an ideological statement. We do have, I think, a responsibility and obligation to demand and ask for civil discourse. That was not. And I'm really having a challenge. I don't want to dive too deep, but I mean, and I appreciate the apology. Apologies are easy, regardless. I mean, they're easy. You stand up and you say you're sorry. And hopefully then you're supported to move on. That was egregious behavior. We have seen, though not a board or commission member, such egregious behavior from other individuals who have a different political construct and philosophical that were broadly condemned in this community. Nor were there necessarily consequences that individual experienced, because that's another story. So I'm really challenged here to simply accept the subcommittee's recommendation. I do think we have an obligation to our community. I do think we have an obligation to our community to strongly speak to accepted speech and communication. And I'm concerned that, particularly within the context of the commission, the DEI commission, that we potentially undercut the value and meaning of the commission by accepting the committee's recommendation. So I just.
Madam Mayor, I would echo those sentiments to the letter.
So
not having a
so I can make a motion. If we need a motion, I would make a motion that we request the resignation or that the subcommittee's report. We appreciate the work that went into the subcommittee's report, but that the motion would be to what's the word? It's not ask. That council accept a resignation from Landis Hansen from the DEI Commission. Accept is the wrong word. I need a better word.
Well, the options are you can request a resignation, but council also has the power to remove a committee member.
So so let's reframe that then. Then my motion would be to remove Landis Hansen from the DEI Commission. Is that what we need?
Is there a second?
I will second for discussion, and then I do have something to say.
Do you have more to say? The motion maker?
That was plenty.
Yes.
And I struggle with the context of those comments in a member that is supposed to represent the concept of, diversity, equity, inclusivity. And, I don't think that there is an inordinate focus necessarily placed on, racial, religious, all sorts of different forms of diversity. But I think we also struggle with the concept that, we have to be open to other people's views. And, while the things that may have been said, or the purpose or the intent or the context of the protest or presentation on the campus may have been insightful or, intending to, sort of elicit those kinds of opinions. The reality is that, diversity in opinion also matters. And, I actually sort of take offense to both sides, both ends of the spectrum here. And that's my personal view. But, I agree that from, this particular commission has a little bit higher level of expectation.
Nancy?
I'll just comment that I think in light of the fact that we don't have, I don't disagree with your opposition. This was a really hard decision to make and to bring forth. And that's why, again, I think we have really good reasons to develop some kind of code of conduct for commission members. In the face of not having that, we felt like this was the best decision.
But I feel like this is more of a teachable moment moving forward for not only us as a council, but for the DEI commission themselves, which is why on my part of the subcommittee, I did not recommend us removing Landis from that position. I don't feel that it is a very egregious thing that he did. That's not even up for debate. However, he understands that moving forward. He's young. He was doing what he thought was right at the time, and he had motivation from other people behind him as they were leaving the campus moving forward. I feel the emotions got away from him on that one, and I think him being a younger person is what contributed to that. For me, in a military background, as I'm sure Councilmember Elliott can attest, you're thrown into that really quickly and you learn really fast at that, not necessarily at a college campus. So that's why I did not recommend that action. I feel he understands where he went wrong, and we're teaching and educating not only ourselves, but future council members as well.
I'll just add on to everything. I would just say that I don't disagree with anything that's been said. I think we're all in agreement that, the facts of the case have been presented. I think we were also mindful of the idea of second chances and mistakes and ultimately forgiveness, if you want to look at it that way. And I think that's really what tipped the scale. I think you either are willing to give Mr. Hansen a second chance or you're not. And I'm not, as I said, I don't disagree with any of the characterizations. We took all that into account and ultimately feel that he's worthy of a second chance.
Well, so I'll call for a vote. So all in favor of the motion to remove Landis Hansen from the DEI Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Nay. That motion fails. There another, someone want to make a motion to accept the report or something?
I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the subcommittee.
I'll second.
Motion and second to accept the recommendation of the subcommittee. And probably no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I too will vote aye. Opposed?
I'll
No.
vote against it.
2 noes. That motion carries. I just want to say, since I was the tipping, that I agree that the whole purpose of this commission is to foster a welcoming environment, and that the behavior did not do so. But the idea of repentance and forgiveness resonates with me in second choice chances. So as part of the recommendation, it's sort of a warning that any future behavior will be closely watched, and we would likely request removal if there was anything like this happen again. And as Councilmember Goodloe alluded to, we are following up with a review of our code of conduct for our commission members, and possibly changes to how we vet new commission members in the future. So I appreciate the subcommittee's deliberation on this, and the thought that you invested in the issue. So a good discussion. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hanson, for your apology. Moving on. We are at the manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Heidi Barron-Sternaway, your city manager. Just a couple of things. We would ask that the council would set a public hearing to amend the 6-year transportation plan to add 2 new items, and this would be set for the February 7th council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to set a public hearing to amend the 6-year transportation plan. Public hearing set on February 7th. All in favor?
Aye.
The 2 will vote aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you. And the second item would actually be to add a study session prior to the February 7th meeting as well. We had a consultant working on the Pearl Street Promenade study, and there's some timing issues. We would like to bring that before you at a 6 p.m. meeting on February 7th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to set a study session for February 7th at 6 p.m. To look at the Pearl Street Promenade consultant report. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The 2 will vote aye. That motion, or opposed? Motion carries.
Super. And one final item, the interlocal agreement for the urban growth area was put before the Board of County Commissioners this morning, and it passed. And so some work that's been underway for a number of years. It will continue to move on. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Time. Councilmember Elliott, do you have anything to report?
KitCom, just appreciation that in today's tight labor market that the staffing issues seem to have stabilized, and they're moving forward with long-term strategic planning for both communication systems as well as sort of embracing future technologies. All of that comes at a cost. So just warn the community that there'll probably be options and choices have consequences. Centrifuge or EBDA, not a lot to report. We did talk briefly about the concept of biomass processing with the infrastructure programs that will occur over the next 10 years with forest health and forest resiliency. Planning Commission, most of the conversation was about work plan for this year, so not a lot of substantive action from a council perspective. And Parks, a lot of discussion about the promenade, which I think will, I think the presentation on the 7th will help kind of coalesce that conversation. So that's all I have.
Councilmember Goodloe.
Yes, DEI Commission approved at its last meeting a draft of a land acknowledgement statement for City Council, and will be bringing that to council in a timely manner in the future. And I attended the Martin Luther King Jr. I guess it was a celebration. It was an event at Paul Rogers Park with the Washington State Outdoor Education community and the Washington State, the outdoor education programs here in our county. And we walked a very icy, treacherous, in my opinion, trail and put up several signs of some of Martin Luther King's famous quotes around that trail. And it was a really fun event, and I was glad to be there as a member of the DEI Commission. We also had one other person from that commission attended that event also.
Thank you. Councilmember Miller.
Attended the Landmarks and Design Committee Commission meeting on the 4th remotely, and they're continuing on with their regular business. It's really amazing to watch their business over time, because you see small projects come before them and they look like they're not significant, but when you look at them over time, when you're talking about restoration of historic structures and residences and commercial buildings, it really is the essential element in my mind in terms of what kind of holds Ellensburg and what makes Ellensburg unique. So it's always exciting to see what our community is doing. So thumbs up to that group and the people who are running those projects. I wanted to just say thank you to my fellow council members, Goodlow and Wynn, for their work on the DEI subcommittee. For anyone in the audience who thinks subcommittee work is fun, it's not. But I think it was, I've been on several subcommittees over the years, and this, I would have to say, it worked as well and smoothly as any subcommittee I've been on.
That's hurtful.
Well, I mean, given the gravity of the subject, we'll just say, okay, the caveat. But I would like to also thank, I think I'm safe in saying we couldn't have done it without the staff support we received, both the city manager and the attorney. Somehow or another, we all got together and made it happen in the span of one council meeting. And that almost never happens with subcommittees in my experience. So that was again, regrettable situation. We played the cards we were dealt. And then lastly, I attended a MRSC webinar on climate resiliency. So that's just sort of an ongoing thing in terms of how communities are planning for climate resiliency. And it's different everywhere, of course, but just another opportunity to learn a little bit about the issue. And that's all I've got.
Thanks. Couple of things, just updates. We had a public transit advisory committee today, meeting today, but I had communication with our transit director with the snow event. Just so folks know, Central Transit actually shut down for 2 days because first was the snow, then the second was simply people's access to the bus stops. But Public Works, and then actually utilizing some transit money that we had with a contractor within those first 2 days. By Saturday, Central Transit was back out and running a full schedule, which was remarkable and critical because, I mean, in certain ways, you need your transit when we have the type of event that we just had. And actually, in talking with the folks from Hope Source this afternoon, the ridership is up over the first 2 weeks of this month, probably directly related to the weather. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, it's, as I don't want to drive in it, and I'm not even sure I can walk home safely tonight. We had committed to an ad hoc homeless committee coming out of the joint meeting. I just wanted folks to know that we have agreement from 6 or 7 folks that are intimately involved working with folks with homeless, who are homeless, from the Ministerial Association to the to comprehensive healthcare, to Merit Resources, Kittitas County Health Network. We're having a little difficulty coordinating schedules, but I hope to have the meeting set by the first full week of February. So I think it's the week of, well, the meeting 7th will be our kickoff. I'm hoping that that will be a very focused, won't happen within one span of a council meeting. However, I would like to have that with a recommendation back to both the commissioners and to the council, almost in tandem with the supplemental session, because I think it's critical if we can establish priorities and direction, there will be resources available to this community if we are positioned to access those resources and know how to invest them. So that is moving also. I would ask, let me just pull this up. This is legitimate use of technology and bad use of passwords. There is a Senate Bill 5510 that's been introduced. Curtis King is the chair of the Transportation Committee he's a Republican out of Yakima. He's one of their sponsors. The importance of the bill is we fund Central Transit through a transportation benefit district. Transportation benefit district sunset at 10 years, which was one of the pieces that I thought was good. And I think it is good because I think if you're not creating value, then the voters have that opportunity to say it's not of value. The challenge, which I did not realize, was that you are only able to renew your transportation benefit district for 2 10-year segments. So when we originally went in the transportation benefit district, I thought as long as the voters continued to support you, it would not sunset. This bill would remove that to that final cutoff so that we could continue under a transportation benefit district. Voters would still have the opportunity to weigh in on the value of what we're creating, but it would not simply be for a 20-year cycle. So I would ask that we would draft a letter of support to go to our senators, and probably I would include our representatives because if it goes through, but to make them aware of how we've funded Central Transit, but also the importance of doing away with that 10-year 2-time limit.
Just the 2-time, not the 10.
Yeah, as far as I can read, everything else is pretty much the same. There's a 0.2% cap that remains. That's the sales tax limit to fund under TBD. Everything else appears to me to remain similar or the same.
No, it's 5510.
Motion on that.
Senate Bill 5510.
5510, yes.
Need a motion?
So that was actually one of our adopted priorities as well.
So can we
I
just draft a letter then?
think we can just draft a
Okay,
letter.
maybe
and-
come out under your signature.
Okay.
That would be great. Then the last piece for me, I would ask that we go back and revisit our legislative priorities. Prior to the last meeting, we had a conversation on qualified immunity. I have got to say that the strength of that language that was incorporated in our priorities was not reflective of the conversation. I think qualified immunity is a challenge. I don't think it's cut and dry, and I'm concerned that we have not had a conversation about the implication of qualified immunity for our community as balanced against the potential for recruitment and insurance. And so I would ask that come back to us on a future agenda.
Okay. To discuss whether
whether we continue to incorporate it into our legislative priorities.
Would we be inviting?
Well, it would be, I mean, it would be it would be an open public meeting. So Nancy does a better job than I did of encouraging comment from the public, but
trying to remember that piece.
But yes, I mean, I think to that point, it's a public conversation, and I think we need to understand the implications for the police department, but I think we also need to understand the implications and the perception of the community in adopting it as a priority.
I'm fine with bringing it back, coordinating
Yes,
this
we can add that.
chief on that.
Thank you. I'm done.
Member Wynn.
I attempted to do a couple of the meetings this week, Parks and Rec, as well as the Art Commission. Unfortunately, was having a little bit of technical difficulties. It wouldn't load on my iPad for some reason. And when I did it from my phone, I got no sound. So I've got a meeting with the tech support guys after this to get that remedied so that I can attend future meetings.
They ease you into this. See?
All right.
By the
You figure with my generation that I would know how this.
Well,
thing
no,
works
but by the
and-
third month, you'll have full access. But
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but right now you just get visuals. No.
Yeah.
Okay, so I attended a developmental disabilities commission. I just want to make everyone aware that there's a new state law that you can designate a medical alert and disability designation on your driver's license. So if anyone is interested and in need of that, apparently there's pros and cons about doing that, and there's some different ways to do it, but that is available to citizens. Environmental Commission tomorrow night, but the bike month planning is proceeding. We're talking about a ride east out to the Renslow Trestle, perhaps some sort of social media thing, and the chamber would like to do a breakfast on Bike to Work Day and offer that for folks. So thinking about May here in the snow, I did also attended a Climate Commitment Act rulemaking Zoom meeting. And just so folks are aware, the ecology representatives will be at the Utility Advisory Committee meeting on Thursday at 3:30 to give us a presentation of how that all works. And I just want to say thank you to all of the snow angels out there, the city crews, of course, who helped us plow out, and but also the folks with the blades on their trucks that were helping out, and everyone who's shoveled their sidewalks so that we can walk, and particularly if you go all the way through the berm that the snowplow drivers so that we can get out after we get to the end of the sidewalk. That's really appreciated. So just it's been a rough couple of weeks for some of our staff and some folks. So but I think that our community pulled together and we're doing good. So just a little ice still, but so thank you all for coming, and no further business. We are adjourned.
Thanks.